Welcome everybody to the March 16th edition session episode of Adventures with Cascadia. This is our 19th live Hangout session, and I am here tonight with a lovely group of people that want to talk about an excellent product that can help you sustain your business if and when you experience an account suspension. So if you've been watching any of our Hangouts, if you're a client or previous client of Cascadia, if you've read anything on our website or heard us speak at any of the conferences that we've spoken at over the last couple of years, you know that Cascadia is super, super focused on compliance. So compliance from a product development perspective, brand protection, terms of service. We never advise or coach anybody on circumventing the process. We want to ensure that everybody does the right thing all the time. But we also know, because of all of the rules that Amazon has, and they want to change at any given moment, that things do happen. And unfortunately, suspensions do happen. So the group that I have with me here tonight want to talk about a service or product that they have established to help sellers. So tonight with me is Lori Jurans. She is a seller. And also Nicole Weldon and Matt Lovell with Well Insurance. So if y'all want to maybe introduce yourselves, and maybe Lori, if you could explain a little bit about how, because you were the first one that we spoke to when you called us, I think it was like a year ago, to talk about, you know, like what really goes into the account suspension process, therefore right, how this product could be created. So I'll let you take it away, and I'll kick in when I have some questions.
Awesome. Yeah, so my name is Lori Jurans, and I'm an Amazon seller. And we've been selling on Amazon since 2012. And like a lot of sellers, I think over time, our Amazon sales just grew and started to become a bigger piece of our total pie. And as that was happening, it was really exciting. But also, you know, we started having to leverage ourselves more. We started having to buy more inventory in order to feed the demand. So it's kind of the yin and yang of the business, right? It's exciting, but it starts to get a little scary too. And now it also became my family's sole source of income, because my husband and I both are in the business. And we have children. So then it really started to feel the weight of the responsibility of doing this right, doing it well. And so really what happened is last year, like you said, a little over a year ago, it was time for me to renew my general liability insurance, who I was purchasing from Nicole Weldon there. And so I went to Nicole, and we were just reviewing the policy, and in that conversation of what it covered and what it did not cover, I said, hey, Nicole, you know, there's this thing, account suspension with Amazon. People talk about it all the time. It's really scary. What if we were to get shut down and we were totally innocent in the situation? So we were kind of guilty until proven innocent, and we went all these days without income, loss of income. Would we be covered? And she said, gosh, Lori, I don't know. I don't think so, but I'll double check for you. And then she came back to me after some research. She and Matt looked into it, and they said, you know, Lori, no, it wouldn't. And in fact, there's not a product on the market that would. And at that point, that's when kind of the light bulb went off, and I said, guys, I think that there's a need for this, a loss of income for e-commerce sellers insurance policy. So that's when I started to talk to some really smart people like you all at Cascadia, who know a lot more about this than I do, because I just try to be a seller, you know. And anyway, after talking to some people on your all side, you kind of confirmed, like, yeah, Lori, there probably is a need for that. And then so I guess Matt and Nicole can probably chime in at that point, because that's kind of where they had to step in and start looking into, could we build a policy like that? Was it possible?
Excellent. Matt or Nicole, do y'all want to chime? First of all, welcome Emily. She is in a different time zone, and we had daylight savings, and she didn't realize what time it was.
Hi, Emily.
Daylight savings yet. It's another couple of weeks like it was. So
right.
I'm all
It's all
messed up.
good.
I did have a
all
moment
good.
though about why my calendar has been so messed up today. So sorted.
Well, welcome, Emily. We did introductions, and Lori was explaining how she kind of came up with the thought process that even instigated this whole thing. So Nicole and Matt, if you want to jump in and maybe talk about yourselves a little bit and kind of dive into what this awesome product is that you have to offer, let's hear it.
Sure. My name is Matt Lovell from Morganfield, Kentucky. Been in insurance for about 18 years now. Lori came to us with this problem, and we had a relationship with a general agency up around Indianapolis named James Allen Insurance. In InsureTech, you will see on the policies. That is one of their sub companies, I guess you could say. But we went with them, went to them with the problem and said, look, we think there's a demand for this. We know you have a relationship with Lloyd's of London. Would you go to Lloyd's, see if they might be interested in underwriting a program like this, and let's put this thing together? And here we are a year later. The product is on the market. We've been selling policies since the first of the month, and things are ready to roll.
So tell us about so presumably the people watching the replay are sellers or want to be sellers. And as sellers, they obviously know that suspensions, that it happens even to the best. So one of my main questions, and I want to clarify it at the beginning, was this isn't about listing suspension. So it's not because an ASIN has been suspended. It's for an account suspension, right?
Yes.
Solely for an account suspension.
Yes.
So tell us about the product. What is it? Maybe cost, type of coverage, and then we'll go from there.
Go ahead.
The cost is actually put together by your gross income, by the income that you make. That would let you know how much amount of money that you would receive per day. The policy is broken down. It is a year policy. Your coverage, it'll cover you for 90 days within that year. There's a $250,000 coverage, there's a $500,000 coverage, and there's $1 million coverage. If you divide those numbers simply by 90 days, you'll come up with, what your daily rate could be.
Okay.
Basically, we're gonna, if you're shut down for, let's use the example that you have the $1 million limit, and you have there is an hourly deductible. There's going to be a 120-hour deductible. So once you get to hour 121, the policy is going to retro back to hour number 1 and start paying you from day 1. If you have the $1 million limit, you will be eligible for up to $11,111 per day. Say the account shut down for 15 days. You're going to receive a lump payment of $166,665. So I mean, it's and you've only used 15 of your 90 days. So there's still a chance that if there was another suspension, that you could get paid for that as well during that 12-month period.
Okay, so maybe you answered this and I misunderstood this part. So how long do you have, if I bought the insurance policy today and I got suspended tomorrow, is there an introductory period? Do I have to have the policy for a certain time frame before it can kick in?
No, the policy begins immediately.
Okay.
It's a 5-minute process on the internet to quote your policy, bind it, pay your money, and print your policy out. And as soon as you pay your money, that policy is in effect.
Okay. So is there a limit to the payout? Okay. I think you just said this. I'm trying to keep the thoughts all straight in my head. So there is a limit to the payout, right? It's not right. Just, okay.
There's a daily limit.
Okay. Got it.
And with the $1 million in coverage, you have $11,111 per day that could be paid to you.
Got it. So I guess my question, if I were a seller, would be, how do you go about validating that? I'm not a seller, so what prevents me from going to the website, signing up for an insurance policy, and then saying, oh, my account got shut down, I need some money, and then you paying it out?
Within 48 hours of purchasing the coverage, you have to give us read-only access to your seller account. And basically, if there is a loss, it has to be reported to us within 24 hours. We require you to hire a reinstatement specialist. At that point, within 72 hours, there is $500 built into the policy to help pay for that specialist. But at that time, the claims department, the claims team will begin their investigation, into the matter. And from what we've understood, this policy is going to look for every way it can to pay the loss. Unless it was an intentional act, it's probably going to be a covered loss.
Okay. So you said something that was very interesting, which I will go back to because we had a question. They want to know if they've been suspended before, or what if they're suspended twice in a year? Does anything happen to the insurance rate? Are they cut off at some point? How does that work?
The policy runs annually from whenever you sign up to the next year at that same time. There's no changes in premium throughout that year. If you renew the policy and you've had a suspension, it's kind of like if you had a car policy and you had a car wreck,
Okay.
during that year, then probably you're going to see an increase in that premium. You can, even if you've been suspended before, you still are eligible for this policy. If you have a suspension during the year, and let's say you have another suspension sometime during that year, it can't be the same reason that you're suspended. So if you are suspended, they hope at that point that you've learned your lesson.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And you continue. But it would pay another suspension up to 90 days or 3 suspensions up to 90 days, as long as it wasn't the same reason.
Okay, so if I was suspended, I bought a policy today and I was suspended tomorrow for an inauthentic product.
Right.
And 6 months from now, I get shut down again for inauthentic. I'm SOL basically, right?
It won't pay for that.
Okay.
Right. If it's the same, if it's the same reason that you were shut down. Yes.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Emily, did you have a question? I just wanted to see you look like a deer in headlights. That's all.
Unmute your microphone. Unmute. No, actually, I did have a quick question, and you did tell us what the amounts were. But if I remember right, they were really high. What are the amounts of coverage? They were 100,000, 500,000, and $1 million.
250, $500,000, and $1 million.
Okay, they are high. So if I'm just like a brand new seller and I'm not making very much money, I'm probably not the target market for this.
Well, not necessarily. It's all going to depend on if you are a brand new seller and your sales are low, you're probably only going to qualify for the $250,000 policy.
Right. Okay. So, but I can be a pretty low end seller and still have access to that.
Premium start at $800 a year. So I mean, even for the small seller just getting started, it's a very affordable policy.
That is very affordable. What if it's too much? So let's say that something happens to me and I've got the $250,000 policy, but I just don't need that much money in 1 month. Can I not take all of my money, or do I always get the?
You're actually, that would be the maximum. If you had, so you would get up to your daily limit as far as what your net profits were.
I understand.
Plus normal operating expenses, including your employee cost, etc.
Okay. So it has to do with what my demonstrated performance was before.
Correct.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, so thank you, Emily. That was actually really excellent questions. Matt and Nicole, what you mentioned I don't remember what you called it. So I'm assuming that the insurance company has a list, or maybe there's something included, who you have 48 hours from the time you purchase the policy to provide the insurance company access to your account, essentially to validate that it's legit, right? And then from time of suspension or date of suspension, They have 72 hours to hire a qualified, certified
Correct.
somebody like Cascadia.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I'm assuming sellers, when they purchase this policy, are provided with a list of those qualified persons, and as long as they're on that, it's sort of like, I'm trying to liken it to my health insurance. There's people that I can call in my network and outside of my network. So it'd have to be somebody in this qualified network, basically.
They wouldn't necessarily have to be in the network, but there is going to be a very, very short list of qualified consultants. We're working very hard to have Cascadia added to that very short list. So
we're happy to sign on that line.
and those will be the recommendations that we will make, and the claims department will be making as well.
Okay. We actually had another question that a viewer asked. What if they are accused of having 2 seller accounts and they are wrongfully suspended? So Emily can attest to this, and probably Lori. It happens. It absolutely happens that for whatever security protocols Amazon has in place, a seller is accused of having a related account. And that could absolutely happen later on in the year. Accidentally. So is there a contingency for when Amazon's wrong, basically?
You are paid if the act is not intentional. So if you intentionally do something that is wrong.
Right, frauds the system or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Then you are not, that loss will not be covered. But as long as it's not an intentional act, the proof is on the insurance company. They have to prove an intentional act,
Okay.
not the insured.
Okay.
So actually, you're innocent until proven guilty. Kind of the opposite.
Wow. So when are you running for office? When are you running for office? I'm voting. So I'm reading this. I'm understanding the question as what you said, that the insurance policy will pay out if they are suspended for an alternate reason than the other time that they were suspended. But it's entirely possible for somebody to be suspended more than once in a year for a related or linked account, where I could see at face value the insurance company would say, well, you were suspended for this same reason 3 months ago or 4 months ago, so we're not going to pay out. But if it's found to be incorrect, that Amazon was wrong, is there some kind of contingency plan where retroactively the insurance would then pay out, or is that something that we haven't gotten to yet?
That's all going to be determined by the claims department.
Okay.
If an account is suspended, they're going to let us know within 24 hours. The claims department is going to start doing their due diligence. And in every instance, they're going to try and pay the loss. We are not looking for ways to not pay the loss.
Right. Okay. Somebody said, how do we sign up for coverage? That's an excellent question. Somebody tell us.
There's a secure link on our website, and our website is www.insurance.com.
Excellent. Thank you. I just posted that as a...
Or you can find us on Facebook at Well Insurance.
Excellent. I had another question here. And I know that we talked about this previously, and it's sort of something that's being thought of and maybe in the works. And I know that someone actually did ask, can they get a good driving reduction for having maybe a proactive service? I'll say Cascadia offers a service that that monitors accounts on a daily basis for our clients. So obviously those clients are doing something proactive to prevent these types of things from happening. But there are certain conditions, certain things that happen that are outside of just everybody's control, and Amazon is God over their domain, and they exercise that right sometimes. So is there something in the works where if you have a proactive service that they get some kind of discount, or?
That is coming in phase 2. Since this product is so brand new, we're learning daily
Yeah.
about things that need to be built into the policy. You can't throw it all in at once, so it's kind of in phases.
Okay.
So as the coverage continues, those things are really being looked at strongly to have a discount for the sellers that do have hired consultants that they work with. You know what I'm saying, on a regular basis.
So I'm assuming at that point, as part of phase 2, that there's some type of validation service where if they have an account review, that's a service that we provide where people who want to be proactive, want to know what's going on in their account. It's not just performance related, but what's really, really going on. What are some trends that could trigger enforcement action from Amazon? So is that something that maybe is in the works as part of phase 2 to have some kind of validation service, a certificate that says, hey, I've done this thing and I'm good. And
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes.
We were doing our best to get the product rolled out. We know there are some tweaks down the road, and this is one of those tweaks.
Okay.
As we move along, we will start making.
Excellent. And another question, I think you answered this, but maybe they're just joining. Sorry. Your website says that premiums are $800. Are those monthly, annually, or quarterly?
That isn't all premiums are annual.
Okay.
And they start at $800, and it's solely based on the gross sales of the seller.
Okay.
So,
all right.
The easiest way. Go ahead, Lauren.
I was just going to say, it's also not that you can choose. So I think that's something to point out. If you sell $1 million or $2 million a year or whatever, and you say, well, I just want to spend less money, so maybe I'll just get $250,000. And it's not like that. It's going to assign. I'll let you guys talk about that a little bit, but that was a question I had.
Right.
Yeah. So it'll assign. You can't choose a lesser amount. It's going to assign an amount based on your sales.
Got
so
it,
they'll say
got
you
it.
need to get $1 million policy because you exceed $1 million in sales, or you need a $250,000 policy based on your sales, and then the premium will kind of relate to that.
That makes sense. So I know when I go to my auto insurance, they say, do you want to pay $250 if you get in a wreck and you have to go take your car in for auto body, whatever? You want to pay $500? What's that? The deductible? You want a $250, $500, $1,000, whatever it ends up being. And then my premium obviously is based on that plus whatever. I don't know insurance. I'm just saying, I know I pay my bill. So is that what you were saying? The assumption could possibly be, the perception could be that a seller would say, well, maybe I'm $1 million seller, but I only want a $250 policy. It doesn't work that way. It's based on their revenue.
That is correct.
Right.
Okay.
That's correct.
And I think that we asked this earlier. Are warnings from Amazon like tickets with car insurance? Would it cause a premium to increase? Or like if you see, trying to think how to, if you're a seller and you're not blatantly breaking the rules, but you're just maybe not very good at being a seller. I don't know how to say that tactfully. And you're constantly getting notifications. Does that affect the premiums at all? Or would it only be a suspension that affects the premium for the next year? Not
necessarily. And a suspension may not affect the premiums. It may affect the deductible more so than the premiums.
Okay.
Instead of the 120-hour deductible, you may be subject to a 240-hour deductible. Or if you've had several suspensions, you may be subject to the waiting period deductible, where it wouldn't go back to day one and start paying you. It would start paying you after your actual after your time waiting period was over.
Okay. Remind me again, how long was the wait period?
The typical waiting period that someone will get will be the franchise deductible, and that will be 120 hours.
Okay. So if this has absolutely happened, if a seller's account was suspended and they expedited service and we were able to get that responded to and they were turned back on the next day, it wouldn't even kick in at that point because it'd been less than that number of hours. Okay.
But it still would pay the $500 extra expense to help for hiring you to turn it back on.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And Emily, did you have any more? I had some specific questions that I was curious about. We had the questions here that were posed by the listeners. Was there anything that you maybe wanted to add, or any questions you had, or even Lori from a seller perspective? I think that's a valuable perspective.
No, I think it's a really cool product, actually. I can't claim to know a ton about insurance anymore, but I did used to work for Farmers Insurance about 10 years ago. So I'm familiar with like renters policies and auto policies and deductibles and things like that. And it's interesting when they can underwrite new products and the things that they come up with. And I think it's a really great idea. It reminds me a little bit, is it sort of like Aflac in a way? Which was another thing, but it's for more like mainstream kind of jobs, right? So yeah, it's an interesting niche. It could actually translate to other jobs that, you know, kind of have the same sort of structure that's a little up in the air.
Right. It's loosely designed around a disability income policy.
Yeah, okay.
Like a supplemental.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you wouldn't mind, either Nicole or Matt, maybe tell us those listening and those listening on the playback, excuse me, maybe your contact info all in one fell swoop, and we'll call this a night.
Okay.
The website address is www.insurance.com. Yes. we got Facebook, we've got all these different ones. I'm like,
tell us all of them. So we got .com, we've got
Well Insurance, which is our Facebook account on Facebook. Okay. If you get on either one of those sites, it will take you directly to the secure site that you can quote your policy on. Okay, excellent.
Cascadia loves this product. We think we love it when people are when sellers are serious about doing things the right way. And I think with something like this, obviously they're they're almost going to be forced to be proactive because exactly. We had look at this. We've got one more question popping through. Do I have to be incorporated or an LLC to be covered? Can I just be a sole proprietor?
Yes.
You can be a sole proprietor.
As long as you are a U.S. domiciled business, you are eligible for coverage.
Oh, that actually brings up a good question. So we're international. We have international clients, some who have seller accounts in the UK or Japan, China, Mexico. So if this is only coverage for a .com seller account?
That is correct.
Okay.
Amazon.com or eBay.com in any US based platform.
Okay. I'm just curious, is there something in the works to maybe cover internationally?
We hope so, yes.
Phase 3, phase 2.5 maybe?
Maybe, yes.
Excellent. Hey, I appreciate all three of you being here tonight. This was
so much.
Wonderful. For all the listeners out there, we appreciate you joining us every week. It's our pleasure to lend our knowledge to this community in this space. If you have any additional questions, feel free, if it's about the policy, to reach out to Well Insurance directly, or we're always happy to answer any questions. You can give us a call at 206-202-0222 or email us at info@thinkcascadia.com. Check out our website, www.thinkcascadia.com. And we plan to be back here next Thursday for more Adventures with Cascadia. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.